So what are we up to now?
Oh my goodness. Well, this might be the craziest thing we've ever done. Well,
We've gone on some crazy last minute adventures. This one's a little more planned, but we're setting out across Canada with very little in the way of planning. We have about 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks set aside to cross the country and get back home. And we're just going to kind of be traveling with 3 airplanes, 3 couples, going through Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick.
Nova Scotia, PEI, Newfoundland, and Labrador.
Yes. And apparently there's a big, massive shortage of rental cars this year. So that's going to be challenging.
Sure is. So our main idea is to skip over the Prairie provinces a little quicker because we can go there when we want in a shorter period of time. But once we're in the Maritimes especially, we're going to need a little help maybe, just suggesting where to stay, where to go, what to see. For example, if you know little airports that would love to have people tent under their wings and with decent facilities or not. Beggars can't be choosers.
Yep.
Anyway, basically, we're going, it's going to be a lot of fun, and we'd love if anyone has any ideas, maybe flyovers not to miss, or definitely sites that we should, or areas that we should stop and get a rental car for 2 or 3 days and stay in one spot. We're kind of thinking maybe PEI, maybe the Cabot Trail, things like that.
Yeah, and we're gonna spend some time in Ontario too, and we do plan to stop into the COPA convention in Montreal for at least a day probably. And other than that, we're just gonna be under wing camping. We bought a new tent.
Oh yes.
Our last tent was one that you would crawl in and crawl out of, and it gets a little old at like 3 a.m. when you're trying to crawl out of your tent and not wake the other person up and try and get your shoes on from a crouched down position. So we bought a tent you could stand up in. And it just came in a few days ago, but we decided, we better set this thing up once.
But it's been pouring rain, like pouring for days. So we didn't really have much of an option.
No, we've been kind of trying to find a window, and just when we get one, it just starts raining. And so what we did was it's a much kind of bigger tent than I expected, but we set it up here in our house, and it's right over there. So that's our giant 4-person tent, sleeps 2 comfortably. And so it's not going to quite fit under our wing, but that's going to be it. We'll have to make that work. And that's going to be probably our home for the next 4 months. Or 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
4 months.
4 months. Yeah, so anybody that's done this or been there, done that, or would love to and has any great ideas for great food, snacks, places to go, things to cook, things to do. I'd love to hear from you.
We sure would, and maybe we'll even meet a few of you guys along the way. That would be nice.
Sounds great.
All right, well, we might see you on the trail. I think we should take this tent down now. What do you think?